And then it goes into the house and ready for drinking. And we test it a couple times a year, and so far so good. Any amount of rain is enough rain given the size of your collection area. If your collection area is large enough and your storage is large enough, then it could rain a half an inch, and that could be all the rain you need for an entire year. There is an equation for that. So we get about 20,000 gallons of water. We use about 1,500 gallons of water a month, which is very low, and we don't use any of the water for any of the greenhouses either. None of the drinking water goes towards the greenhouses. They're on their own water system. Rainwater collection, we started out with 2 tanks, and then we realized that when it rained here in the desert, it rained a lot, and those 2 tanks filled up real fast, and it was all waste. And so the next year we added 2 more tanks, and now we're up to 4. This clean out is for the pipes that deliver the water to the tanks. There might be water in it. Oh, look at that. In the future, we're gonna add 2 more, probably in the next year. And then that'll give us 6. And what that does for us is just, and specific to rainwater, that just allows us to get us through the dry periods. The narrative usually when we say, we live off grid, the first thing people think of is that we live in a small, tiny house and, way away from civilization, and, it kind of conjures up that kind of imagery. And we're just here to say, hey, we don't need to live that. You can still live with all your monitored amenities without sacrifice and still be 100% off grid. And in the desert, we collect 100% of our rainwater, and it is all possible. We have 33 solar panels that provide all the power for our house. 33 solar panels gives us roughly 9 kilowatts of power per hour. The solar panels provide power, it comes through, and we go into the inverter, and from the inverter, the power either gets split and it goes directly to the house, or it goes to the battery storage. When I say we're 100% off grid, it's we produce 100% of our own power. We do not have grid power coming to the property. No grid power has ever come on this property, and it never will. What people think is that the solar panels are the things that are actually powering your house, and that's not entirely true. It's a mix of the energy storage. The amount of sunlight, the energy from the sun that falls on our roof, it's just a tremendous amount of energy. And we have the ability to capture that energy. The challenge is storage. It's about 30 kilowatts of battery storage, and this will give us about a day to 2 days of power if we have a storm or really cloudy days. I think what's interesting is that the system is very reliable. We have not had to use a generator in well over a year at all. I think people are just surprised to learn that you can run an entire modern home just off of solar power and batteries, and with very little hiccups. This greenhouse is kind of like the main greenhouse. Like, again, the same approach as the house. We've got gutters all the way around it, and when it rains, the water drops off the back. It goes into a reservoir that's just a pond liner, and then we put a tarp over it just to keep the evaporation rate down so that we can use that water all year. But even something like this will still produce about 5,000 to 6,000 gallons a year just off of the roof of this. And that provides all the water that these plants will need.